Well, if you thought that the Pokemon market couldn't get any weaker than it already was, you would be incorrect because it is continuing to get weaker with honestly no signs of strength. I've been saying this, I feel like, for the past 2 months now, and it just keeps getting weaker. And it's just the facts, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys here today using data from popular sets, top sets from Scarlet and Violet, and also looking at Mega Evolution here and seeing what's going on with sales volume, prices, looking at what the market is doing. So I think Prismatic Evolutions, we can all say, whether you like the set personally or not, is a top set in Prismatic Evolutions for various reasons, but the main one being its set value. Its set value at one point peaked at around $8,000. Obviously now it's a lot lower, but this is obviously an expensive set. And Prismatic Evolutions, I think, then would be a pretty good indication of, okay, how are the prices moving? How is the sales volume? Then there'll be a pretty good indication of what's going on with the market using a top set from Scarlet and Violet. That's pretty modern. I mean, it's about a year old now. Prismatic Evolutions has gotten cheaper. In the beginning of the month when the market was still not that great, it was $130, right? And it was pretty stable at around 130, but it's gone down and down and down all the way to the point where the market price right now is about $110, but it's more so 115. It's dropped another $15, another 10%. So you can say that's not much of a drop. But at one point it was around $140 here. So, it's dropped about $25. So you do the math on percentage drop there. That's around 15-20%. So it's dropped 15-20%, which is across the board. It seems like many things have dropped around that range, so it's not out of the ordinary. But Prismatic Evolutions is a top set, and it dropping that much, and it continued to drop that much even when it only dropped $10 from 140 to 130, which isn't that big of a deal. It's dropped more, shows what's been going on in the past couple weeks, right? So things are getting worse. And sales volume, you might even notice here, really hasn't seen an increase. I mean, here, 30 boxes, 20 boxes, 15 boxes, 27 boxes. That's not high sales volume, right? And we're not talking about an ETB that's like $200, $300, $400. It's $115. That's not out of the ordinary. I mean, Black Bolt is, I believe, $90 at this point. So it's not a very expensive ETB. I know relative to MSRP, it's still like double, sure, but that is kind of irrelevant. Like I said, if you compare to other ETBs, it's honestly not that expensive, and it's not selling in super high quantities. Now, just to show you guys, because I know people might still argue that it's expensive, I want to just show you guys the sales volume. Look at this data; it doesn't lie, and it's kind of skewed here if I use this chart, but I want to show you guys. Look at the sales data here. Okay, look at this price at $119, $112, right? These 2 days. This was after the sales, because this was the TCG Player, Cyber or whatever sale, or Black Friday sale, whatever they had, right? The store credit. This doesn't count. Use these two sales volumes here, right? You can see at these price points, so average it around $115. These, if in between December 3rd, December 5th, and all these days, about what in this time frame? So about a week, about what 135 boxes sold, right? Compare that to when it was the same price 3 months ago. You add these 2 days up, right? Or you can add these 2 days up. That's 270 or 280 boxes sold. So it's about what? Half the amount of sales volume it was than 3 months ago. This was before we started seeing the dip in the market. September is when we were coming out of summer and the market was actually picking up. You guys remember that? And then this is when things started to go downhill about 2 months ago. So it shows a stark difference in sales volume when the prices were the exact same. And that's where we're at. I mean, half, 50%, the sales volume it was 3 months ago at the same price. That's a pretty big difference in the market, right? So that's a huge indication of, okay, what's going on right now. We have a top set here that, if we look 3 months ago, how much it was selling at the same price versus now, there's a huge difference. Huge indication of where the market is right now. It is not very strong. Now, I wish Poke data here had a timeline of the total set value and like a chart. That'd be really great. But at one point, this was climbing up. It bottomed around here. Prismatic Evolutions total set value. I remember when at its lowest when Prismatic Evolutions was getting massive reprints at the end of the summer, the total set value was around like 4,000, around there. And it was slowly climbing back up. During that time frame I showed you guys during September when prices started to go up after the summer, the total set value I believe went to like $4,800. But now it's going back down. Now it's $4,300. And it's worth mentioning that we haven't gotten the same amount of restock supplies or as we were getting during the end of the summer when prices started to go up after. So just naturally things are falling here with the prices of the cards as well. Now with other products, even from Prismatic Evolutions, the PCTB, without any more restocks, the prices have dropped pretty dramatically, down from its high, a few months ago, from $400 all the way now down to $325. And like I said, that's with no more additional supply being added to the market. That's just it falling naturally. It's about 20%, which you can say 20% isn't much. But you gotta also think about this. This is an exclusive product. There's been no more added to the market. There's been no more restocks. It's just fallen 20%. And this is an exclusive product. Now moving on to some other sets. 151 you can see here, it was pretty strong for a while. During even like the times when the market started falling, it was holding at 400. I remember other boxes, other things started to fall, but this was staying at $400. But recently prices have started to drop, and you can see they're now all the way down to 350. I mean, a $50 drop is only about like 10-15% drop from 400, so not that big, but it's still worth noting. It's just started dropping in the past couple of weeks, when it wasn't like about a month ago when the market was starting to fall apart. And the PCTB, you can see a pretty similar story. It was holding pretty strong. I mean, there really were no sales, even earlier, a month ago, but you can see what's happened in the past couple of weeks. Prices have gone down all the way to $800. So it's dropped almost 20% from its high just a couple months ago. So it's showing that just recently the market is starting to get worse here. Paldea Evolve, you will notice pretty similar trend. During even the Black Friday sale or whatever TCG player sale, they were selling for $385, right? Which it didn't really drop much from where it was at. Like it was already dropping, and it was sort of seemingly, kind of bottoming at around $400. But you can see after this sale, what's happened. Prices have gone even lower. Now you can buy a booster box, and this is from a reputable seller, for $350. So it's dropped even more. And I know it's only 10%. But like I said, it's getting worse in the past just week or so, and this is a trend with most of these boxes that I'm showing you here. Now, one caveat is Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals has actually gone up since the TCG player sale. Now it's at $410, but it is worth noting the sales volume is very low. You look at these days. Look here, 5 boxes, 1 box, 3 boxes, 6 boxes, 5 boxes, 1 box. This is extremely low sales volume, and I understand it's an expensive booster box, but we can still make the argument, go back in time and look at the sales volume difference. I mean, it's obviously, it was newer back then and all these things. I understand that, but it just shows how much things have really changed. There's just not as many people buying, but, this did go up from the Black Friday sale or whatever, so that's that. Now, speaking of more modern sets, Mega Evolution, it did bottom at like 220s. It's at 230 now, but I mean, you look at the sales volume, it has steadily decreased over time, as you can see here. I mean, naturally, that's what's going to happen. But I don't really see any signs of this box, going above 250 for a while, to be honest. There's a lot of supply on the market. It just probably is going to stay at the 230s, 240 range for quite a bit of time, because I don't think the sales volume is going to increase, at all. Because I mean, if it was going to increase when prices dropped, it would have already, and we haven't really seen that. So it's probably going to stay here for a bit. And sales volume probably in the next few months, I would guess that it's going to start trailing off and getting even lower. So Mega Evolution, I don't see really moving up in price at all. Now lastly here, Phantasmal Flames, it still really hasn't done too much from the last time I talked about it. It's still at like 255, but we haven't, to my knowledge, gotten the second wave of supply yet. The set is only about 3 to 4 weeks old, so it's still pretty new. Yeah, I mean, Phantasmal Flames, the cracks are already starting to show, and I will continue to show, especially when we get the second wave of supply. You look here at what's been going on with the SAR Charizard, it really hasn't been dropping much. I mean, the past few weeks, it's still been pretty stable at $600 flat. but obviously sales volume has been decreased in the past like week or so. The gold Charizard, however, is showing more signs of weakness. It was around 450. Now you can buy it around like $420, $430. So it's dropping a little bit, but same thing. Sort of the sales volume has dropped a little bit as well. So Phantasmal Flames, I feel like when we're really going to see a big price drop is that second wave of supply. Other than that, it might start to slowly trend down, maybe from 255 to 250, 240s. But I think until we get the second wave supply, we're not going to see too much action here. But sales volume it's still, I guess, relatively high, 50 to 80 boxes. But prices, I don't think are really going to be moving much. And once again, there's a lot of supply, even with not even the second wave of supply being here. So we'll see what happens. But everything right now, guys, is pretty slow. I mean, there's no denying it. And things have seemingly gotten a little bit worse. And there's literally no signs of up. But hey, that could possibly be more opportunities for people out there looking to still invest. But other than that, if you're looking for this, robust market, it's not here right now. So that's all I want to share in this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.